That's advanced techniques. You're not going to learn that until you're probably, I didn't even come to that until I was in my first couple years of pro ball. You start to really figure out your mechanics and who you are as a player. Well, it's fun for kids to try to do all, you got the Japanese players that twist and fire. So I get a lot of those kids like, oh, why don't I do what he did? Why don't I do? Well, you got to start with the foundation. So first, what I teach them is you have the rubber. If I could, I don't know, I'll try to use, you guys probably can't see it anyway, but you got the rubber, it's about this long. You want to start them in the middle of it. So when you're facing home plate, first thing you want to do is make sure their shoulders are squared on the windup. The very first thing you want to do. Now, there you go, you got kids that want to go wide, and you got kids that want to be real narrow. You always want to set them up so they're shoulder width apart. So when they are facing their catcher, you want to kind of split that home plate in half in the middle of the rubber, and you want to make sure their shoulders are square and that they're shoulder width apart. The reason for this is if you're too narrow, you're going to be off balance and you're kind of going to trip yourself. If you're too wide, you can get too squatty and you're going to be coming down and you're going to be low on your knees and you're not going to use that height advantage. So you want to make sure you're just normal, relaxed. This is a nice relaxed state. Now, where your hands are, not really a big deal, especially because it all is going to depend on what your kid's kind of arm action is, and you're going to work on that anyway. But just for a rule of thumb, you just kind of want to make sure they're anywhere in this region, probably from shoulders to belly button. You don't want anybody way up here at a young age. You don't want them way down here at a young age. Just comfortable and relaxed. Relaxed shoulders. And then from there, that's just going to be your starting position. So this is just a nice, relaxed, ready to go. So that's where we're going to start from. Obviously, we got the starting motion to balance. I'll get into that, but I just want to show, the stretch real quick. The only difference between the wind-up and the stretch is a couple steps. So if this is your wind-up, where you're going to start from, your stretch is literally pretty much going to be the same thing, but you're going to be turned. So when you come set, you're going to get your sign, and the same thing. So now your shoulders aren't square, but you want them square to almost first base. So now when you come set, same thing. Shoulder width apart, or shoulder width apart with your feet, hands in the middle. So if I turn like this, it's the same thing. Nice and comfortable. Because the thing with pitching is you can't pitch tight. It's not an aggressive sport to where you can get all hyped up and like grit your teeth and pitch. Because tight muscles, they do not throw the ball fast. You can't throw the ball when you're all locked up in here. You're just not going to be able to do it. You're going to lose control and you're going to lose velocity. So just all the kids need to be nice and relaxed, which usually younger kids really don't have a problem with. It's the high school level. They really want to throw that ball hard. They really want to show somebody up by blowing it by them. So that's probably the age you got to worry about a little more relaxing them. Younger kids are just kind of there to have fun sometimes. So, and that's in the stretch position. That's pretty simple there. A couple drills you can do. I always teach my kids to just kind of pretend they're in a tunnel. So, like I said, you want the shoulders square, you want nice and relaxed. You don't kind of want them thinking that they have to take up that whole rubber. So just for again, another rule of thumb is I just have them kind of visualize a tunnel that they're enclosed in from the width of the mound to the width of the plate. That's about it. I mean, there's not really many drills because it's a pretty simple thing. Again, another thing you want to do is just kind of go up to them, have them get in their set position, whether it's here, whether it's the stretch, or whether it's the wind-up, and kind of just, move their hands a little bit when they're here. If they're tight, you won't be able to move them. You'll be relax, relax. So just kind of, dabble that glove up and down to where they can be all right, I got it. My shoulders are relaxed. And another technique you would want to do, another drill, is just a breathing drill. Make sure when they're breathing, try to just get them to breathe a little bit more of the stomach breathing. You would see the glove kind of come up, so, just here, just take a nice breath in and out. It relaxes the shoulders, relaxes the muscles. And that's really the only drills you can probably do for those two things because there's not a lot of movement, it's just, again, foundation setting up. The starting motion to balance point. Now again, we'll start with the feet, again, from the ground up. Very simple. Hopefully everybody can see me here. Try to get enough from it. What you want to do, again, if we're going to start in the wind-up, and I'll just start there because the stretch is really just an abbreviated wind-up. So we're here, we're relaxed. Now the very first thing a kid wants to do is they want to do this big side step usually, or they want to do this big leg kick to try to get momentum. They want this big swing like a pendulum almost to throw. They think that's how you're going to throw hard. But really, all this does is mainly get you off balance. A little kid, even sometimes older kids, depending on like instruction or how much instruction they've had, they'll do this, and then when you do this, if you look at their eyes, they're now off center. Okay, whether it's this way in their right hander, they're like, well, the catcher's moving. Oh no, catcher's not moving, you're moving. Same thing if you go too far back, my head moves. You don't want your head to move off that mound. So that rubber right there, your head should always like keep your chin kind of like above it and right over it. So all you want to do when they're in that windup is just a small step back. Probably to maybe where your heel is max. So if you're lined up with your toes, take for me, my right foot to my heel, and that's it. You don't need this big swing. I mean, a lot of older, like you see, like I do it a little bit in that video. You see a lot of professionals do it because what happens is it does get them in a rhythm as the game's going, but they're so good at that point, they get back to the positions they need to be in. Younger kids, guys that don't have that ability, and you're usually not going to, like I said, I didn't have that until I was probably a year or two in the pro ball. You're just going to have to start with the fundamentals, and then you can kind of get your own flair. Because if not, your mechanics are going to be off from the beginning, and you're just going to be all out of whack. So again, small step back, and then right from there, the next one, the second step you're going to do is you're going to pivot. Like for me, it would be my left foot. For a right hander, it would be their right foot. This is very important. A lot of kids, they'll step. The instep right here, you want to make sure it's flush against the rubber. So for me, I'm parallel with the rubber right now. If I'm here, basically I'm telling them that I'm going to throw the ball that way. So when you step back and you get that foot open, you got to make sure that the instep is pointing towards your catcher. And then you're just going to rotate into a balance point. Now, we're talking about the hands a little bit before I get into the balance point.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
So your starting position before you step and twist, are your heels on the rubber?
What you want on the rubber is like you want to kind of be in a balanced position where it's in the middle of your foot. So you don't want to have just your toes touching the rubber, and you don't want to just be on your heels on the rubber. You want to have that rubber where the edge is, kind of where the mound starts to slope. You want your middle of your foot right on there, between the balls of your foot and the heel.
Of course, for us, that's an idealized situation.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I remember growing up, I played in Michigan, sometimes the mounds are like this and they're dug out. So it's going to be difficult. I mean, if I had a situation like that, what I would tell a kid is to just pitch from the stretch. Because if you're like this, because the mounds are so dug out, you're not going to get a proper way to be able to do the windup, just throw from the stretch. There's really no difference no matter what people tell you. Well, I throw harder from the windup. If you're doing your mechanics right from your balance point, you're not going to throw any different. You're going to throw the same. So that's what I would recommend if kids complain that the mound's not good enough. Just tell them to go from the stretch the whole time. So from there, like I said, the hands shouldn't move at all in this situation. So I'm here, getting to my balance point, just stays there. If you get a lot of hand movement, it's going to take rhythm off, and when you get to that balance point, they're not going to be in a position to get into the correct throwing motion. The balance point I'll get into right now. A couple keys about the balance point. When you're in the balance point, you want to make sure, and a lot of guys do this, this foot needs to be relaxed. This front foot, your pickup leg. Again, I'm left-handed, so I know a lot of people are right-handed, so it's going to be opposite. But you want to make sure that's relaxed. A simple way to do that is just have them kick it. See, a lot of people like this. Again, tight muscles don't work. You're going to end up, if you have a tight muscle and you flex that calf, you're going to end up swinging open. And when you swing open, you're going to land open. Your weight's going to be forward, and now your arm's dragging behind, and now we have problems with injuries, velo drop, accuracy, all those issues. So again, one key, balance point, make sure that's nice and loose. Second, is you actually want to make sure they're balanced. You know, it's a balance point for a reason. If you get a kid and he's here and he's falling backwards, not balanced. Get a kid here, he's falling forward or towards first base, not balanced. Here, and he's kind of trying to hold it, not balanced. So the first thing you want to be able to do is just, and this could be a drill, just call it a balance drill, is just when they get in that position, tell them to hold it. A certain amount of time, 10 seconds, whatever. I could probably stay here for a long time balanced. But when they start getting confident they have the balance, start pushing on them a little bit. Chest, you know, push on their hips a little bit. If they can hold that, balance is pretty good. But if you can't get them to get to that balance point, the rest of the things you're going to do after that aren't going to matter. Again, it's the foundation. Let's see another point there.
I mean, another common problem I see with young kids at the balance point is because they're trying to overthrow,
Yeah.
they'll twist their leg behind them.
So you're saying they
they'll
look
twist
like
their-
this a little bit?
Yeah, they look like that.
Yeah, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to preload. So they don't feel confident in their legs yet. Maybe they don't feel they're strong enough. They're trying to overthrow, and they think by coiling that they're going to be able to whip it around harder. But in actuality, what they're doing is they're just creating a side-to-side motion, and they're just, again, they're going to land open, their arm's going to drag behind, and now they're throwing all arm, which is defeating anything that they were thinking they were trying to do in the first place. That happens a lot to even guys at my level when they start getting tired. Their legs start to go, oh man, I don't feel good today. They'll start trying to just muscle up and just try to throw. It's natural, but it's not going to help you pitch. A way to kind of,
I'm sorry, and where's the knee in the balance point? Does it come above the hip, or is there a rule for, where the knee should be?
how high the knee should be. I mean, you see a lot of guys, again, a lot of pro guys, you range from, a real small one to a big leg kick. When I'm in my stretch, I have a small one. The question is not how high your leg is, it's whether or not you get the weight on the back of your leg. That's what I was just going to talk about next. We want to get that weight on that back leg. Now, it doesn't matter how you do it. If you have a smaller leg kick, like that's all I need right there, because my hips are tilted. If you can see, kind of like, a lot of guys, they'll use an analogy like show your butt to the catcher. So like you really just like boom, boom. It's like your hips are here, it's like tilting. Or if you're right-handed, the other way. Because now you're shifting that weight from your front side to your back side. That's why balance is so important, because if you're not balanced, then you go to shift that weight, you're going to fall back or you're going to fall forward. So what you want to make sure you do is when you get in this balanced position right here, your next move, which is we're going to get into his driving situation or separation here in a second, would be to shift that weight and drive out. But before you do that, you want to make sure that, again, the balance point is on point. So with the kids, another drill I like to do is this. Just kind of show you guys this way. Kind of one place there. You're going to come set, or in your wind up, get your balance point, and what you're going to do is you're going to just have them drop that leg up and down. Down, up, down, up. And you can tell I'm not wavering. My weight's not going backwards like this. My weight's not falling forward. And if they can do that, that means they're in good balance position. It's kind of like a litmus test in a way. So I would advise that's a good drill to use with kids. And then eventually when we get into the drive and separation, you're going to end up adding the hands with it. So that's very important. Trying to think if there's any more. You don't want any, a lot of guys, a lot of kids, a lot of people, they want to stiff back, so they'll kind of lean this way. Kind of the point that I try to get is to make sure that your chin is over your belly button a little bit. So like you just want to have that chin just over the belly button. Because if not, and it's kind of behind, you're going to fall back. If you're leaning too far forward over your toes, you're going to fall that way. So just kind of make sure their head in the middle of their body, just over the belly button. All right, drive and separation. This is where a lot of things go wrong. A lot of movements start. The first thing, you're in your balance point. First thing a lot of kids want to do sometimes is separate the hands. I see a lot of this, especially younger kids. Just separate the hands and then they'll step and throw. Or they'll stay here and they'll start drifting and they won't separate their hands, and now they're late. So it's like a well-oiled machine when you do it together. Everything's got to be in sync. Like I said, rhythm. A lot of guys do certain things for rhythm. I said the older guys, the pro guys. It's because they need all that timing mechanism to line up. So if they have this rhythm, just like rhythm in other sports, shooting, passing, there's rhythm in music. Like even learning your ABCs, most people go A, B, C. They have a rhythm to it and it helps them remember. So that's the same thing you want when you get the separation. So you get to your balance point, boom, you need a rhythm here, okay? See how my leg goes down and my hands separate? Same time. I've never actually put a string on I guess you call him a student, on a player. But you want to imagine that there's a string and tell your, whoever you're teaching, there's a string tied to your foot, to your glove hand. So when that comes up, your hand's up. That comes down, hands down. Just tied to each other. That way you kind of get that rhythm, and then you get the drive and separation, what we'll talk about a little bit. Drive and separation, hands together, just in that placement, even started from the foundation. Foot comes down. The moment the foot starts coming down, the hands with the ball should start separating. Okay? So I'll show you from this angle. Hand, foot up, separating. Okay, back up. Now remember that drill I said for balance with the foot? Now you're going to associate the hands a little bit. Foot up, hands together, foot down, separated. Up, down, down. Just knee and hand drill like that. Make sure they're in rhythm. And then you can get to the separation part. Now, when that hand comes down, that weight's going to shift, like I talked about that hips turning. You're going to drive with that weight on your back leg. You're going to drive outwards towards the plate. Now, the best way to gain velocity, accuracy, and to make the ball go where you want it is to make sure, just like a whip, everything's going out of your hand. So when you release the ball, everything wants to be, the power starts from your legs, comes up through your body, out on your fingertips. You don't want to lose any momentum or power